in the original plans. I said, how much is that additional square footage? And they were estimating like 980,000.
I think you play a vital role in our community. I'm from District 5, and even in our pleasantly surprised at how well those programs are operated, and I just am proud to see it thrive at the local level. So
thank you so much. Yes.
I'd like to echo the sentiments you were talking about with the welding program. When I graduated high school in the late 90s, I don't want to say it was looked down upon, but if you wanted to really further your career, you were going to go to a college or essentially a university system. And now with a technical college, especially with today's economy, somebody's got to do the work, right? And so there's obviously this need and this skill trade that people can learn in just a couple of years and start making real serious money, to support a family right off the bat, I think is inspiring. So definitely appreciate what you do and can appreciate the comparison there that today's world is about. We need to get people boots on the ground, how we need to train them and get them to work to continue building our economy.
Thank you so much.
One quick question.
Yes.
Do you find you can get an adequate number of instructors in all of these various fields?
That is always a challenge.
Okay.
So if I said yes, then I would be naive. But
Yeah.
we always have a tough time finding instructors, especially with the highly skilled trades, because they can make more money than I can pay them in industry.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I would like to say my youngest son, and I wished he'd have done this before he got to his junior year, left college and went to West Georgia Technical College and got an associate's degree in electronics.
Excellent.
And it doubled his salary. I mean, he was hired within a few days of walking out the doors, and his salary doubled into the job that he went into.
The end of that story is fantastic. Sorry you had to go through the years before that, but that's fantastic.
Well, that was my problem. I should have, it was money out of my pocket.
Force the issue.
So let me say, as an educator, I've always been an advocate for the diversity in education, because I've taught students who really did not enjoy or they enjoy the idea of going to a university system,
right,
but they wanted to get into a situation where they could use their hands, work with their hands, things like that. Essentially jump right into the workforce and go to work. And I've helped many students go through West Georgia, whether they got a certificate or they went to a 2-year program and things like that. I've seen a lot of students that I know would have fallen through the cracks if it hadn't been for what you guys are doing. But I really enjoyed the relationship you have with our local high schools, and it gives them an opportunity to funnel kids into, having the university and a technical school, like you said, in our area is phenomenal, but it allows us to funnel students into different areas. But it keeps our economy going as well, and a lot of those kids, they go out and they earn. I got stories of people, of kids who have moved away and they're working, they're welders and everything else, and they love it, and they attribute that to going to school right here. So
that's fantastic.
Great job.
I think we're so successful because of these kind of comments. You guys are talking about it. You know how successful it is, and I appreciate that. That's better marketing than I could ever pay for. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Rule.
I want to tell you one more. I've told you before, we have the only education collaborative in the state. So we've got the university, the technical college, 2 public schools, private school, economic development, community foundation, all working together. Next month in March, the last 2 Fridays in March, every single 8th grader will be invited to come to West Georgia Tech. This time they normally rotate between there and West Georgia, but they're doing some remodeling. Here's the cool part. So if they're in public school, those students as an 8th grader are told to think about a career path or choose one going into the 9th grade. Well, 9th graders, good luck. You know where we were at that point. Here's the cool part. So these young people are given the opportunity to choose from all these different skilled trades, and they get to pick 3. And when they bus them in, they split them up. Half will be there one Friday, another half the next Friday. and then they subdivide that group. So basically, 400, 400, 400, 400, 350, whatever the number is. When they come into the main room, they're gonna hear from Scott, the president of the university, and myself. Short little speech, encouraging them, talking to them, but here's the cool part. Here's the president of Technical College cross-selling the University of West Georgia. Then the university president gets up and cross-sells West Georgia Technical College. And these two have these articulation agreements between each other. It is powerful. And these eighth graders are sitting out there, and we tell them 4 years from now, it may seem like a long time, but it's a snap of the finger, and you'll be a senior. And you've got some serious decisions to make. But I just wanted, while he was here, I wanted you to know how powerful that is. This will be our, 5th year to do that. It's the last 2 Fridays of March, and it's a really neat time. And those young people now are, some of them, I guess, are probably freshmen in college maybe, but it's really having an effect on them. But it's very good stuff. So, thank you, Scott. Let me just stay on up
I'm
here.
just going to go ahead and say, stay on up here, because
All
you're
right.
here to do your annual report for Carroll tomorrow, and I
Thank you
see
for the
JR's here
opportunity,
too.
and I'm gonna do a little bit deeper dive than normal. You might say, don't let him do that again, but, given the timing, and you'll understand in a minute, because this is the 5th year of the current plan, I wanted to do a little deeper dive for you. JR, you got, we wanted to have the annual report in your packet. I apologize, but we've been scrambling trying to get them together. So obviously, you'll have to study on it later, and then please call us, and we'll be glad to sit down and share with you. You've heard me share before, Carroll Tomorrow was created back in 2000. It's a public-private partnership. Leadership in this community, Roy Richards Jr., Loy Howard, and others said, the world has discovered Carroll County, and they're coming this way. Let's get our act together and try to have a unified plan for all of Carroll County. And so that's what was done, and it's been successfully going on now for almost 20 years. We're beginning the 5th year of the 5-year plan called Advantage Carroll 2020, playing off of the name of the year that it's due to conclude. And so on the front end of these 5-year plans, obviously you got to create a plan, do the feasibility analysis to be sure it's going to work, and also do the funding to be sure that we have the money in place in order to accomplish the plan. And so at this point, what we have given you is the 4th quarter report as well as the report for 2019. And if you look over open it up and look in that top left, the little boxes, because sometimes projects take a while, it's easier to have a 5-year look than try to say each year we're going to do X, because there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Some of these projects could take years. And so the goals that we're given are for 5-year increments. Examples, 400 million new investment, 90 million new payroll, 2,500 new and retained jobs. Those are the goals for Advantage Carroll 2020. And so what you have there are what happened in 2019. I'll share with you quickly the cumulative over 4 years with 1 year to go. And then in a minute, since Carroll Tomorrow was created. So here's the good news as you look at that report on the top. Last year, 31 million new investment, 364 new retained jobs, 4.6 million new payroll. The cumulative of the last 4 years, we're now at 514 million new investment. Remember, the goal was 400 million. 2,195 new jobs, 83 plus million payroll. So things have gone well for the last 4 years. We will meet and exceed all of those goals. A couple of other things I wanted to share with you. One, January of last year, and by the way, you know J.R. Charles, who's our Vice President of Economic Development, and he's here as well. J.R. arranged for us to go up in January of last year, so a year plus ago, and we went to the Georgia Power building. All of the economic development guys are all in one tower right there on the Georgia Tech campus. And they've got like the war room, if you will, this monster screen in there. And when projects are coming in, that's where the guests are entertained and shown. And they can come in and they can ask questions about any one of 159 counties. They can see photos of sites, buildings, information on the community, et cetera, et cetera. So JR arranged for us to take a few of our leadership up there, and we had the opportunity to pitch. So we had Georgia Power, Georgia EMC, the state of Georgia, some other site consultant guys all in the room together as we were having our chance to share about Carroll County. We also, if you remember a year ago, had a gentleman from Florida come up, and we were beginning to set the stage for it's time for us to think about, once this plan's over, what do we do next? Are we going to continue with another 5-year plan or what? And so at that point, there were 67 community leaders identified. They were mailed a survey. 60 out of 67 responded, which is unheard of. And then 47 actually went to the Burson Center and spent 4 hours listening to this gentleman talk about planning for the future. And so that was beginning to set the stage for what we were looking to do for this year. We are also part of a 7-county joint development authority. So when you're selling yourself to the world, they're not just as interested in one county as they would be a region, because people cross over lines for employment and shopping and that kind of thing. And so we are the middle county of a 7-county joint authority: Polk, Harrison, Carroll, Hurd, Troup, Coweta, Paulding. JR and a couple of the other colleagues who are in this business went up to Chicago to a site consultant conference last year to represent Carroll County. And then in, when was that? August, September, Zeus, Japan? It's not Dr. Zeus, it's SEUS, Southeastern United States. A few years ago, Brian Deal and I went to Japan. We don't just go on these trips on a whim, and I've only been a time or two. We were going after a joint venture for a little company in Villa Rica, ICR, Wayne Duell. And successfully that project was done. They partnered with a giant Japanese aerospace firm called IHI. And in fact, we've been working with Wayne recently. His employment in the last 3 years has gone from like 15 to 60. And so this is this joint venture. They literally are taking jet engines apart and parting them out, cleaning them up and all. It's just amazing what's going on. And so we participated in Zeus Japan because working with a state, it sometimes gives us that opportunity to do something significant and special, such as that project there. So real quick, here's some highlights for the year. Southeast Trans, you remember we broke ground up in Villa Rica, 300 jobs, 20 million. The Lauco, and you probably don't know who those guys are, it's a little industry. We sat together actually out in the tent. It was a little warm that day, and celebrated and Michelle was there as well, celebrated their ribbon cutting for that expansion. OFS that we were talking about in December, 137 jobs, 50 million. Yachio has only been here 5 years. They've already expanded twice, and their second expansion just concluded in December. And then they're continuing to do well. DecoStar completed that 100,000 expansion with 41 new jobs. We celebrated some anniversaries. Precision Roll Grinders, Yachio had a big deal for their 5th anniversary. Superior Burn, you remember July the 5th, 2018, the pain of that. They started rebuilding February of last year. They're up and running. We're going to celebrate with them in just a few days. Because of what this community did to respond, you've heard the rapid response team that came together, county, city, all kinds of resources. The word got out, and we actually were given an opportunity, West Georgia Tech, the plant manager, myself, to go to the state workforce meeting and share what this community did in response to this tragedy. We then went to another state conference in Jekyll back in November, December, and then Dale Cardwell actually did a video. And most of the time he's doing investigative. He actually did a video. We'll have to show it to you 3 minutes. It's really awesome, talking about what Carroll County did to respond. So we're very excited about those guys and the fact they chose to stay in our community. There were 5 of our industries that won awards last year, 4 for safety, and 1, the plant manager of Superior actually was chosen Plant Manager of the Year. John Hardesty. It was pretty neat. We nominated 7 of our little guys for Rockstar Awards for the Georgia Economic Developers, hired a new manager for the Burson Center, Caitlin Bradshaw, and you've heard the workforce. I won't go into that, but I'll just tell you that this community is as active in workforce development as any community in the state. So I just want you to know that these guys, the professionals and the community at large, are working together and doing some really cool stuff. Since Carroll Tomorrow was created, so we're approaching almost 20 years now, 1.425 billion new investment, 9,645 new and retained jobs, 315.5 million in new payroll. So what does the future look like? Let me wrap it up with these comments. The Carroll Tomorrow board said, it's working. We've had a good run. We've always exceeded our goals. Let's don't change anything. And so they voted to do another 5-year run. In a couple of weeks, the board, the Carroll Tomorrow board and Chamber Executive Committee will be interviewing 3 firms. They'll choose one. They'll spend the first half of this year working with our community and leadership to sort of say what's important to us for the next 5 years that we want to focus on. And that'll create what will replace Advantage Carroll 2020. I don't know what it'll be called, but that'll be the opportunity for all of us to weigh in on a new plan. The second half of the year will be to put the funding in place, and then we'll be good to go for another 5 years. One of the challenges is, some of us gray heads have been around for a while, and there's new people in the community, and we want the new and the old and all in between to be at the table in leadership. And so the challenge / opportunity is, how do we get everybody to the table to help create this new plan as we go forward? And that's what we're going to be looking to do as we engage leadership, new and old, in trying to come up with this plan. As usual, we're going to be working with all the partner stakeholders, whether it's the little guys, whether it's big industry, whether it's utilities, whether it's state project managers, all of those people who are important and come into play in order for us to be successful. We have 3 new mayors in Carroll County: Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Rupel as a new mayor. We have new commissioners. We have other new council people. We want to be sure that whoever you are, that you know that you're free and open, and we want to open our doors to talk with you one-on-one, 2, whatever. These deals can get complicated. If you want to ask us questions, sit down and explain, how did we arrive there? How does this process work? We invite that, we encourage that, and please take us up on that. And we'll be glad to do that anytime, officially, unofficially, whatever. It's just very important that leadership in the community, whether elected or professional or volunteer, we're all on the same page, and we're all working together and going forward. And with that, I'll conclude by telling you guys, I think you understand Carroll County government, our cities, these other partners play an important role in what we do. And these numbers that we're talking about never would have happened had we not had the support of a chair, of commissioners, of professional staff all over this county. It takes a lot of different people, these partners and stakeholders, to make this thing work. We've been blessed to have that for 20 years, and I hope we'll continue to have that going forward. If we do, we're pretty confident we'll continue to enjoy success. So I'll wrap it up with that. If you have questions for us, we'll be glad to entertain them. Thank you for being our partner. Thank you for allowing us to come and share. We are excited about 2020 and 2021 out to 2025.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you do.
Any questions for Daniel?
Good, thanks.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll go on to. Okay, we'll go to 9, the financial session. 9.1 is our financial recap with our Finance Director, Alicia Searcy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Chairman. Our report is through the end of December, so we've got a 6-month picture here. We're halfway through the year. Our revenues are coming in at $39,223,285. That's ahead of last year slightly. We've had good collections in sales tax and TVAT. Our property tax are coming in pretty much in line with where we were last year. Our expenses are running at about 49% of budget, so the department heads continue to do a good job of watching their budget and keeping everything in line as far as that's concerned. Our fund balance for December 31 of 2019 compared to 2018 is up about $3.4 million, and our cash balances continue to stay good as we move through the end of 2019, now into the beginning of 2020. At the end of 2019, our general fund had $26,803,000, and last year it had $22,523,000, so that's a little over $4 million increase in cash. We have all the money on hand to pay our debt service on our SPLOST bonds, and so we're ready to make distributions to our municipalities. Any questions?
I'd just like to say on the SPLOST side, we went over most of this during our retreat on Friday, but thank you for putting together splost information as far as balances and major projects and funding levels that are left and so on. I really appreciate that. I know I've been bugging you for a long time, and hopefully we can get that updated routinely in every month or two, and we can have that good information. That package on SPLOST was great, so
Okay,
thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions for Alicia?
I also would like to say, Commissioner Chance has brought up the appropriate level of reserve, and on the general fund side, it's great also to know that we have a appropriate level of reserve, and the revenue looks good there. So I just think we're in good shape, and Commissioner Chance, I know, has looked at that routinely, and I like that
We are in good shape.
Yeah.
You, as the board and the prior board, have done a very good job in budgeting and trying to share money with the employees as well as increase the fund balance, and that's a fine line to walk. But I think we've done a good job at securing our future with being able to increase the fund balance.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into the business section. 10.1 is a consideration of an appointment to the Board of Assessors to fill a term that expired December 31st, 2019. Do I have a motion to nominate someone?
I would like to nominate Jim Swinson.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, so I have a first, I guess I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you. 10.2 is the demolition of the old state patrol post. We have Charles Pope with Public Works here to make a presentation for us on this.
Thank you, Chairman, Board of Commissioners. What we're asking for your consideration, demolition of the old Georgia State Patrol post at 746 West Bankhead Highway in Villa Rica. Commissioner Chance wanted to walk through one day, so I picked him up and we went over and walked through. Commissioner might want to say something.
Sure, I appreciate that, Mr. Pope. We looked at the building at the direction of the chairman, and I think that the reality is the building has just been sitting vacated for quite some time, and I don't think that's really good business to have a building vacated in that manner. There's a lot of liability issues and so forth. The other thing, when the Georgia State Patrol was looking to relocate, the feasibility study, so to speak, was done if we could renovate at the current location in the city, or did it make sense to move. The building was so old and outdated, it really was going to cost more than what we actually spent to buy the old Hometown Bank building or the old SunTrust building on Highway 61. Since that time, I know when I walked through the building, you could obviously tell if the building was ever to be revitalized, it would take an enormous amount of money to bring it back up to codes or to speed. I've spoken with several private developers as well, just to make sure that we're not missing something. I mean, I'm not technically in that line of work, and said, hey, do you think this is the right thing to do? All the professionals that I spoke with did not see a reason to try to leave that building up. They said a lot of buildings have their useful lifespan, and that one has more than met its criteria. So with that, I would be in agreement with Mr. Pope that it would probably be the prudent thing to do to take the building down.
Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the demolition of the old Georgia State Patrol building.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or further questions for Charles? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Charles.
Chairman.
Okay, we're now going to, excuse me, we're now moving into the zoning session. Before, I'd like to read the policies and the procedures governing the conduct of our zoning meetings. The applicant or anyone speaking in favor of the application request shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present their request. Anyone opposed to the request shall also have a total of 10 minutes to present their opposition. If there are multiple speakers for and against an application, I ask you please to be mindful of each other's time and to stay within that 10 minutes. Anyone speaking for or against the application shall also be allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal. I'm now going to call on our county planner, Janet Hyde, to go over our zonings.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item that I have for you all tonight is conditional use at 151 Little New York Road. This is consideration of owner applicant Teresa Lee Hicks' request for a conditional use for a special event venue lying in landlocked 97 of the 5th District, parcel 160-0075. This property is located in Commission District 5. Mrs. Hicks is planning to do a barn-type wedding venue at her property. Her daughter currently owns a horse and carriage business, and they plan to incorporate that into the barn wedding venue. They do plan to use a New York theme since they're on Little New York Road. They are planning or proposing a separate driveway for the venue, and they are saying that they will only operate three days a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Planning Commission recommended approval, and staff also recommended approval of this application. And Mrs. Hicks is present.
Okay. Would you like to come forward and, oh, there she is. Just wanted to-
Hi, I'm Teresa Hicks. I live at 151 Little New York Road, and we would like to
Fix her.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We'd like to put a new building on the back side of our property. If you're facing our property, the right side is bordered by a cow pasture and a tree line, and then the back side of our property is bordered by woods and the railroad. And then the other side is pasture, a little bit of woods, and a Mr. Rivers driveway. And we currently have a separate drive that goes down to our shop, and we were just going to extend that on through to our pasture to put a separate parking area there. And then the new building would be sort of up on the hill. And it's pretty much buffered all the way around by pasture and woods. So the neighbor that it would have the most impact on are the Rices. And we actually had 3 weddings there as favors, and they've loved them. So they don't really have a problem with it. But so I know a little bit about, hosting weddings. And then my husband's been in business since 1994, so I have a little bit of business background. So anyway, that's what we'd like to do.
Is there anybody else here to speak in favor of it with you?
No, just me.
Okay. All right, is there anybody here to speak in opposition? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this zoning? Okay, seeing none, I'll request a motion and a second.
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, any questions for the applicant or for the county planner?
I'm Ernie Reynolds. I've been by there during my campaign. I remember meeting you. And I've been by there about 3 times, I guess, to talk with you, but no one was home about this. But you have a nice place. I did talk to some of the neighbors, and they were in total agreement and didn't seem to have any problem. So just to understand, with this approval, would you be okay with approving it contingent upon those things in your application, that it not be operated more than 3 days a week, and that there would be that separate driveway to the event?
Yes.
Okay.
And we had thought about, the traffic impact on the road, because Little New York sort of horseshoes around to both sides of 16. So we were going to direct traffic from the closest to us, which is like less than, so probably not even a
Tenth
quarter
of a
of a
mile,
mile.
yeah.
To keep the traffic keep the traffic down.
Okay.
Commissioner Montreal, do you want to amend the motion, or do you want to amend it since you added the extra stuff,
Okay.
just for clarity?
Good, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve with the contingency that it be operated not more than 3 nights a week and that there'd be a separate driveway.
Stacy, did we do that correctly? I want to make sure we did it correct.
That's right, you wanted the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, correct?
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I can get a second on that?
Yes, we'll need
Okay.
a second to amend the motion.
Okay, great. All right, so now I have a motion and a second with the amendment included. Any further discussion or questions?
I'm
Madam-
sorry, did we have a second to that motion to amend? You did, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Madam Chair, I've got a question for staff, or just clarification. If this conditional use is approved, this is only good with the current owner, so if the property was sold, it would not automatically revert to the new owners. They would have to come before us as well.
That would only be if you put that stipulation on it.
Okay. I personally would like to see the stipulation. I think we've done some other things in the past, and I'm not exactly savvy to every single ordinance or variance or something that we've done, but we have typically stated that it would only be good for the current owner and that it would not pass to the buyer.
I agree.
Okay, so would you like me to,
So let's amend that motion again.
go
Okay.
say?
Go ahead, Ernie.
I make a motion with the following stipulations: that it only be operated on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that there be a separate driveway to the event, and that the conditional use approval would not follow, only be applicable to the current owner and not follow in a sale.
Correct.
Second.
Okay, great. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Great, thank you. All right, the next one is 10, hang on, I've lost my notes here. I gotta go back up the page. Was the rezoning from commercial to agricultural with conditional use for an RV park.
Yes, this is application Z-20-01-01. This is consideration of owner applicant Tim Dyer's request for a rezoning from commercial to ag with a conditional use for an RV park. This is land lot 324 and 341 of the 7th District, parcel 071-0020, 0098, 0021, 0137, and a portion of 0061, located at 3947, 4029, 4059, and 4095 Highway 27 North, approximately 8.498 acres, and this is Commission District 6. The applicant is proposing to construct an RV park. This will be adjacent to the flea market on Highway 27. Mr. Dyer already owns the flea market. He also owns the meat processing facility that's at the flea market location, and he owns the mini warehouses which are across Highway 27. He is proposing to use the same entrance that the flea market uses, and so the RV park would just kind of be an extension of the flea market property. It would require to be in coordination with the corridor development plan. And Planning Commission recommended approval, however, staff recommended denial. It does not meet the future land use plan for the county. The future land use for this property is commercial. And I think that's it. And Mr. Dyer is present.
So would the applicant like to come forward and?
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, first off, my name is Mike Patterson. I'm with Commercial Realty Services here in town. Represented Tim on some other ventures over the years and gotten to know him pretty well. Great businessman. I want to say one thing, too, that I've been on the opposite side of this bench, but on the city level, and I appreciate your guys' willingness to serve. It's surprising how much time and effort that takes sometimes. But anyway, we appreciate that. What we're proposing is a what I want to say, a high-end RV park situated on 8.5 acres. It's situated on the east side of US 27, going north. It's just north of the West Georgia Flea Market. It's adjacent north of that property. It's bordered on the east by the railroad, Norfolk Southern, and on the north by some commercial property owned by Mark Crush, and leased to the Blake House thrift store. Always got to get a plug in for that. If you want to donate, talk to me, and I'm on the board. But anyway, the park is, it's the way it's designed, it's to accommodate, excuse me, 87 RV slots, pads. 8 or 10, I've forgotten exactly, but we'll accommodate pull-throughs. There's going to be plenty of room. It'll be, of course, gravel. A lot of it will be gravel and pervious surface. And but there's very well done, very well laid out. It'll have amenities, a pool, a playground, an office, and vending area, if you will, and also a bathhouse, if it's necessary. So it accommodates, like I said, 87 RVs. Roughly, an RV park gets about $40 a night, between $35 and $40 a night. So if this thing stays half full, okay, at 45, let's just say, you're talking about $1,600 a day, which is a pretty substantial income for an operation. And I think once you see the valuation as it's done by the assessors, some concern was voiced because it'd be down zoning to agricultural, that would trim the tax base. Trust me, it'll be taxed a lot higher than what was there already, because it'll be based on the improvements and also probably on the income stream. So, but we've looked at the demand for these things. There's only 3 really in general competition: Big Oak, which is over in Tallapoosa near 100, Jellystone, and if you've never been down there, you wouldn't know where it is. It's sort of tucked away over in Waco, but stays 90% all the time, and it's a big recreation area too. And of course, the county's Little Tallapoosa Park up on Sharps Creek area there on the river, and I think it stays pretty well booked too. So maintain pretty strong occupancy. You got the next competition really is Chattahoochee Bend in Newnan, and then the Chattahoochee RV in Brush Creek in Franklin, which is quite a ways away. But you'll find that the US 27 has a lot of RV traffic and a lot of traffic in general that runs north-south. So, and this being literally 2 miles from I-20 exit 11, you're going to see a lot of people pulling off to utilize this that wouldn't necessarily get off at that exit. So they're going to be eating and drinking and shopping and so forth in Carrollton and Bremen, hopefully. So we've set this thing up, Tim has, as a family-oriented park. It's not going to be an extended stay of any sort. It'll be a 14-day stay minimum. And it's going to draw travelers, like I said, off the interstate. You'd be surprised how many people come to NASCAR races, sporting events, and this kind of thing in RVs, and they want a place to stay. And typically these things are not the old, 12-foot long mini RVs you pull behind your pickup. They're pretty substantial pieces that are $600,000-700,000. So that's what we're shooting at. We feel like it's going to be a good quality package that will improve the corridor and improve the traffic in the corridor, the good solid commercial traffic. So we would ask for your consideration. We did get a nod 4-1 at the Planning Commission, and so we feel like it's a good idea. It'll be quality, very quality done. Tim has been in business in 3 businesses right around it for the last 15 years, and they're all very successful. So, any questions?
Well, not this time.
Yes.
At this time, we'll bring opposition up first.
Or for anyone else in favor, we have
Oh, yeah.
about 5 minutes
Okay.
left.
All right, so yeah, did anybody else come? Tim, did you want to speak, or anyone else in favor?
We'll wait and see if they opposition, and then I'll answer the opposition question.
Okay. So you want to give up the 5 minutes for right now? You don't need to, okay.
Right, and maybe call to the audience if there's anyone who wants to speak in favor.
Okay, yeah. Is there anybody here who wants to speak in favor of the RV park? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move to if there's anyone that wants to speak in opposition. Just come forward.
My name is Pat Albright. I appreciate the time to speak. I've lived in Bowden Junction community now for going on 62 years. I've been there all my life. Me and some of my neighbors, my family, I own a small farm there. We feel that there'd be a decrease in property values. We already have plenty of noise pollution. We have a railroad. We have Highway 27. We have the interstate less than 2 miles from us. We also have the airport, so we have plenty of noise pollution. Another problem that we see coming with it, in the last year, my son has had a person wandering around on his property that was not asked to be there and had to be asked to leave. That same person came to my property. I had to call the sheriff's department to have him removed. My daughter had a person wandering around on her property. It's all adjacent to my farm there. And also, my neighbor lives to the north of me in this past year has had people wandering around in his property, not just walking down the road, but wandering around in the property, around the barns, shop buildings, and so forth. Speaking for myself and my family, I ask the board to deny this request.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? I'll ask again. Is there anyone that'd like to speak in opposition?
I'm Sam Albright. I actually live just the other side of the tracks from where this park is going to be located. I've already had some issues with people, just the flea market in general. I can see it now. There's campers behind the place now. And if the entrance is going to come in from the flea market, then I can imagine those campers that are there now are going to be parked in an RV park. And I know state law or Carroll County law is 14 days, but who's going to police it? And another thing is just countless things just happened already. That's my father. That was I feel like it's going to be a negative impact to our community. We already got so much going on. I don't want anything negative further going forward. I'm trying to raise a family, you know. I've been there my whole life. So I ask you vote no to this request.
Thank you. I think there's a little bit of time left. Is there anybody else that wants to speak in opposition? Okay.
Thank y'all for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And my name is Wynton Akers, and I've been up there in Bowden Junction since 1962. And my property joins their property. And so far, I've had my house broken into twice. I've had my daughter's car stolen from my yard. And we see people just running up and down the road all the time that we don't have a clue who they are. The other day, the deputy run a guy through our yard. He got away from him, and it's just, I don't think we need no more of that. And the traffic. A while ago when I got ready to leave out of Walnut Hill Road, 20 minutes? Probably 20 minutes just to get into 27 there already. And everybody knows where Walnut Hill Road is there. So I ask that you deny it. And like I say, we have enough there already in that air congestion and all. And I don't want to use the wrong kind of word, but anyway, please deny it.
Thank you. Okay, there's still 6 minutes left if anyone else wants to speak in opposition. Okay. Okay, seeing none, you have 5 minutes in rebuttal to the opposition. If Mike or Tim, if y'all want to speak in.
My name's Tim Dyer. Appreciate y'all letting me speak. I know Pat personally, and I don't know his son, but first of all, what's happened to them in the past doesn't have anything to do with the RV park going forward. I'm going to remove 3, for lack of a better word, low income properties there and beautify be a lot of green space, a lot of trees. I've left some 300-foot tall trees, and there'll be more trees added. And the one trailer his son talks about, the camper, there's been a security guard there. There's one camper, been there. He's been there 15 years. His name's Joe Bryant. He's nothing to do with his security for the flea market. I think it'd be I think it would help some of this drifter stuff. There's going to be fences involved and buffers involved from 27, so it should help the noise. And congestion on the highway, there's a ton of XL, DXL lanes there. I'm going to get them off the road quick. They'll travel up through my place into the wooded area and then out that same way. So, I mean, I think if anything's going to help with traffic and also clean up some stuff that might be roaming around in their communities. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in rebuttal?
Just make one comment that what Tim said. I can appreciate the neighbors and their concerns because crime is all over the county. That corridor is hopefully continuing to move more in the commercial or development concept in order just to get the growth there, and the traffic is a lot heavier. But I know Tim's intention is to have full-time traveling golf cart, whatever, security throughout the park, RV park, and of course that would also entail checking the flea market around it, surroundings there, and also across the road at the self-storage. So there'll be a full-time security guard now, and there may already be some, but that'll be part of the RV park. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, there's still 2.5 minutes if anyone else wants to speak in favor with a rebuttal. Okay, hearing none. Those of you that are opposing this, you have 5 minutes to come back and speak and add a little bit more if you'd like to. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion and a second, please.
Ms. Hyde, did I understand, just for clarification, you said that this does not meet our future land use?
That is correct. The future land use for this property is commercial.
Thank you. Well, in light of that and for consistency, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to deny the applicant's request. At this time, I'll open it up for any questions or discussion. Okay, hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor of denying the request, raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, so the request is denied. Okay. We'll go on to 11.3, updates and readoption of the Carroll County official zoning map. We have Janet Hyde to come forward on that too, please.
Ms. Mabry is bringing over a copy of the updated zoning map. This just merely represents an updated zoning map reflecting all of the rezonings that have been done in the past 12 months. The last time that we updated it was December of 2018. So this is all the rezonings. There are 2 corrections on there. One was Barnes moving and van lines on Highway 61 was erroneously zoned commercial, and it was supposed to be industrial. The other was on Dockhide Road, where there was property that was listed as ag, and it was supposed to be commercial. So those 2 corrections were also made. I do have a resolution. I'm going to go ahead and read that. Resolution and ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of Carroll County to readopt the official zoning map of Carroll County, Georgia, to incorporate the previously adopted amendments. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Carroll County, Georgia, the Board possesses the authority to provide for the general codification of all ordinances and resolutions of Carroll County, Georgia, having the full force and effects of law. And whereas the Board has previously adopted, revised, and maintained the official zoning map of Carroll County, Georgia. And whereas the official zoning map of Carroll County, Georgia was last adopted on December 4, 2018, and the Board has since adopted amendments thereto. And whereas the Board desires that the official zoning map be republished to incorporate all previously adopted amendments. And whereas an update to the official zoning map of Carroll County, Georgia, which incorporates the previously adopted amendments, has been prepared in the form attached hereto as Exhibit A, the updated zoning map, and is now submitted to the Board for consideration. Now therefore it is resolved that the attached updated zoning map is hereby approved as to the form and content by the Board, and that the official zoning map of Carroll County, Georgia is amended and set forth in the updated zoning map, adopted this 4th day of February 2020. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second to approve the updated zoning map?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussions or further questions for Janet? Hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, I see no further business, or here, I don't have any further more business on my list. Do I have a motion to adjourn and a second?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those, well, okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Any